Hello, friends. I'm going to talk about strategic negotiation for high stake business outcomes. Negotiation is one of the most valuable skills in business, whether securing a major client, raising capital, acquiring a company, forming a strategic partnership, resolving a dispute, or closing a multi million dollar deal. The outcome often depends not only what is being negotiated but also on how it is negotiated. High stake negotiations involve significant financial, operational, or reputational consequences, making preparation, strategy, and emotional intelligence is essential. Successful negotiators understand that negotiation is not about defeating the other party, it is about creating value while protecting their own interests. In today's dynamic business environment, organizations negotiate continuously with customers, suppliers, employees, regulators, investors, and business partners. The ability to negotiate effectively can determine profitability, long term relationships, and competitive advantage. Therefore, strategic negotiation has evolved into a leadership competency rather than merely a sales or procurement skill. The foundation of every successful negotiation is through preparation. Experienced negotiators spend far more time preparing than they do at the negotiating table. Preparation begins with clearly defining objectives. Every negotiator should identify the ideal outcome, the minimum acceptable outcome, and issues that are open for compromise. Equally important is understanding the interests, priorities, and possible constraints of other party. Negotiation becomes significantly more effective when both parties' motivations are understood. A critical concept in strategic negotiation is distinguish between positions and interests. Positions are what people say they want, while interests are the underlying reasons behind those demands. For example, a supplier demanding a higher price may actually be considered about rising production costs or maintaining cash flow. By exploring interests instead of arguing over positions, negotiators often discover creative solutions that satisfy both the parties. One of the most valuable tools in negotiation is understanding your BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. The BATNA represents the best course of action if negotiations fail. A strong BATNA provides confidence and prevents negotiators from accepting unfavorable terms simply because they feel pressured. Organizations that prepare multiple alternatives before entering negotiations usually achieve stronger outcomes because they negotiate from position of strength rather than desperation. Information is another powerful source of leverage. Effective negotiators research market conditions, competitors' offerings, industry trends, financial performance, legal considerations, and historical relationships before entering discussions. The more information available, the better the ability to evaluate proposals, anticipate objections, and identify opportunities for mutual benefit. Communication is central to successful negotiation. Skilled negotiators spend more time listening than speaking. Active listening helps uncover hidden concerns, priorities, and opportunities that may not initially be expressed. Asking thoughtful, open ended questions encourages dialogue and builds trust. Instead of immediately presenting counter arguments, effective negotiators seek to understand the reasoning behind the other party's perspective. Emotional intelligence plays a decisive role in high stake negotiations. Business decisions are often influenced by emotions such as fear, pride, urgency, or uncertainty. Negotiators who remain calm, patient, and respectful are better equipped to manage difficult conversations. Self control prevents emotional reactions from damaging relationships or leading to poor decisions. Equally important is recognizing and responding appropriately to the emotions of others. Building trust is essential, particularly when negotiations involve long term partnerships. While tactical negotiation may deliver short term gains, trust based negotiation creates enduring business relationships. Honesty, transparency, reliability, and consistency encourage collaboration and reduce future conflicts. In many industries, reputation becomes a valuable negotiating asset because parties prefer to work with individuals and organizations they trust. Strategic negotiators focus on creating value before claiming value, rather than viewing negotiations as a fixed pie where one side's gain is others' loss. They explore opportunities to expand the overall value available. Flexible payment structures, phased implementation, performance based incentives, exclusive partnerships, extended contracts, and additional services can create mutually beneficial outcomes without significantly creating increasing the costs. Timing is another important strategic element. Knowing when to make an offer, when to remain silent, when to request additional information, and when to pause negotiations can influence outcomes significantly. Silence itself is often an effective negotiation tool. Many negotiators feel uncomfortable with silence and reveal additional information or concessions unnecessarily. Patient negotiators understand that thoughtful pauses encourage reflection and more considered responses. Concessions should always be planned rather than made impulsively. Every concession has value and should ideally be exchanged for something of equal or greater value in return. Unilateral concessions may weaken negotiating positions, whereas reciprocal concessions reinforce fairness and encourage cooperation. Small concessions made strategically can build goodwill while preserving overall objectives. High stake negotiations frequently involve multiple issues beyond price. Delivery schedules, quality standards, warranties, intellectual property, payment term, risk allocation, confidentiality, service levels, and dispute resolution mechanisms all contribute to the overall agreement. Skilled negotiators prioritize these issues and identify areas where flexibility exists. Often, the solutions emerge by trading lower priority issues for higher priority outcomes. Cross cultural negotiation has become increasingly important in the global business environment. Different cultures have different communication styles, decision making processes, attitudes towards hierarchy, concepts of time, and approaches to conflict. Successful international negotiations invest time in understanding cultural differences and adapting their communication accordingly. Cultural sensitivity strengthens relationships and minimizes misunderstandings. Technology has transformed modern negotiation. Data analytics, artificial intelligence, customer insights, and digital collaboration platforms provide negotiators with valuable information and improved decision making. Virtual negotiations through video conferencing have become common, allowing organizations to negotiate across continents very efficiently. However, technology cannot replace the importance of trust, empathy, and relationship building, especially in complex, high value negotiations. Ethics must remain at the center of every negotiation. Misrepresentation, manipulation, or deceptive tactics may produce short term gains, but often damage credibility and long term business relationships. Ethical negotiators build reputations that attract repeat business, strategic partnerships, and stronger stakeholders' confidence. Integrity is particularly important in industries such as finance, healthcare, legal services, and consulting, where trust is fundamental. Leaders also recognize that negotiation extends beyond external business relationships. Internal negotiations occur daily regarding budgets, resources, project priorities, staffing, compensation, and organizational change. The same principle of preparation, communication, collaboration, and value creation apply within organizations, helping leaders align teams and achieve strategic objectives. In financial services and wealth management, negotiation involves balancing client expectations with sound financial advice. Advisors negotiate investment strategies, fee structures, service models, and long term financial plans while maintaining regulatory compliance and acting in the client's best interests. Successful advisors negotiate not through pressure but by educating clients, building confidence, and establishing long term trust. After every major negotiation, conducting a review is essential. Teams should evaluate what worked well, where improvements are needed, how assumptions compared with actual outcomes, and what lessons can be applied to future negotiations. Continuous learning strengthens negotiation capability and improves long term performance. Strategic negotiation for high stake business outcomes is a disciplined process that combines preparation, analysis, communication, emotional intelligence, ethical leadership, and strategic thinking. It is not about winning at the expense of others, but about achieving sustainable agreements that create value for all parties involved. The most successful negotiators understand that lasting business success depends on balancing assertiveness with empathy, confidence with humility, and ambition with integrity in an increasingly interconnected and competitive business world. Organizations that master strategic negotiation are better positioned to build strong partnerships, manage risk, resolve conflicts, and achieve exceptional long term outcomes. Thank you.